just on that topic of taking care of yourself, something that always comes up on most conversations we have is something to do with like mental health or just within that area. I know I'm talking bollocks, you spoke a bit about that time with your son, I think, and you'd lost your father not long before that podcast, and you had mentioned, I don't remember off the top of my head, so I'm not going to try and butcher whatever you said, but there were certain mental health struggles that you were going through at certain points in your life. How have you been since then? How's life these days? And is there anything that like jumps out as like, I don't know?
I don't have you ever taken magic mushrooms?
No.
Last year I went on a retreat where it's like a 3-day retreat, and like it's a group setting.
Was it in Ireland or abroad?
In Ireland.
In Ireland, yeah.
And yeah, it's
back in Morsey.
What?
The back in Morsey, yeah.
The Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Portobello mushroom. Yeah, I went down. I done a retreat, and like the shit that even the fucking shamans was saying, you need to go to a therapist after this. Like, this is only gonna crack the seal. Like, it's a lot of shit going on, but I had that experience with the mushrooms, and that completely kind of changed my perspective on a lot of things that were making me feel really bad, that was affecting me mental health and stuff like that. And that's just it. They say one trip on magic mushrooms is the same as like 6 months or maybe even 6 years of therapy, like the trip that I sent it on. Because one of the things was my dad. You said that my dad passed, and then my brother passed as well. So one of the biggest thing that I was dealing with in my head was the last memory that I had of my brother was me throwing a coat over in the lashing rain. He was drunk, kicked him out of the house, and then I didn't see him again after that. He passed shortly, a while later, but I didn't see him between that moment. And that killed me, and that memory haunts me. Not so much anymore, because when I took the mushrooms, that scene played out, and I was watching it like as a third person. But then suddenly I could see everything happening from his perspective. So he was at the bottom of the flat, and he was looking at me, and he was sorry. He was sorry. So I always kind of seen him as sad or pathetic, but when I took the mushrooms, it flipped it on its head, and he was sorry to me instead of me being sorry to him, or me being sorry to myself, or whatever way I was thinking of it. But it completely changed my perspective of it.
Okay.
And then my dad as well. I always felt like I could have done more in his later years, my dad's later years. But when I took the mushrooms, I had an experience where I used to pick him up on the weekends in the car from the hospital and bring him back to the house. But then that stopped because of COVID. So then I didn't get to see him for a long time until he passed. But when I took the mushrooms, I went to pick him up from the hospital, and he came out, and he always had like a central bag with his clothes in it, like, you know, it's just fucking a little bag or whatever. But he came to the door, and he just waved. He didn't come out and get in the car as he usually would. He came out and he just waved at me, and he went back in. And that kind of made me feel, in the experience, in the trip, it kind of made me feel like I did do enough. I done, like, he's happy with what I done. Like, he was happy with what I done. I think it shows you what you need to see, and it just completely changed my perspective on everything that I was thinking. And it still all bothers me. I still haven't fucking fully dealt with any of the shit, and there's a lot to unpack and go through. But that, like, experience last year was just life changing. It's incredible experience.
Damn, it's unreal. Like the closure you got from just seeing from your brother's perspective, from your dad's perspective.
Never would have done it by myself. Like, I never would have come to that like comprehension. But it's there. It's all there. Like, you know what I mean? It just goes to show the power of the subconscious.
That's it.
Because that's what it does. Like, it just takes the subconscious and brings it to the surface. And you can just.
Were you scared to take the mushrooms? Like, were you aware that is what it will do?
I didn't have a really visual, like some people have really vivid. I actually came out of it and said that was shit. I said that was shit. Like, if anything, it made things worse, because I'm experiencing all the bad things that happened. And it wasn't until I went home that night, 2 nights later, I had a dream, and then I figured out what the experience was about.
Fucking hell.
Like other people had really trippy dreams, and they went to crazy places, and it's like, but mine just kind of felt like I was just thinking.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
Euphoria.
Yeah, it wasn't euphoric or anything like that. It was just kind of like I was thinking about things. I wasn't seeing them, or I wasn't visual. Well, I didn't hear that. And I was just thinking of these things.
Okay.
But also playing out. It's really hard to explain it. It's really, really hard to explain it. But I wasn't scared because I'd done a lot of research before doing it.
Yeah.
And I was in a very safe environment. We were there for 3 days talking about it and trying to figure out what we want to get out of the experience and stuff like that. So it was really interesting.
That's fascinating. They've become so popular also, like, nowadays. Say so you go on a 3-day retreat, let's call it, to do it. What does the setup look like? Do you do like mushrooms each of the 3 days, or do you have to build into it over the first couple of days, or like?
So you only do it on the last day. So you're just kind of talking about your workshopping. You're just talking about what you might experience and how to handle it, or what to expect, kind of things. And also other kind of tools. Like there's a technique that I think people should do this. This is very easy. Sit on the ground and have a conversation with yourself, and literally change seats and answer your questions.
Okay.
And it just makes you think about things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how would you answer your own questions? And then you have a conversation and keep that going. That sounds fucking stupid. Like, sit on the ground and do that. But it just makes you think of things. So I was going into it knowing that these are the things that I wanted to tackle.
Yeah.
So I'd sit down and I'd say to myself, like, why do you feel like this? And then, like, I literally change, and you feel stupid doing this, like. But then you change and you're like, well, I feel like this because of that. And then you go back and then you ask yourself, you just keep digging in. And you kind of lift it up. It's an interesting technique. So doing stuff like that, workshopping different things for 2 days, and then the third day, you wake up 9 o'clock, little ceremony, and give you the mushrooms, and then it does like a big sound bath. They're playing all the instruments and stuff like that. It's really nice and zen. And like, if you've seen it, if you like, I feel like
I'm picturing my head now. It looks mad.
These are fucking lunatics. Like. You would think, I think that. I'd be like, what are you doing? Late lying on the ground, eating mushrooms with a gang of God knows where. But it was absolutely incredible. It was really, really good.
It's mad. And the lasting impact that it's had on your ability to process things. I know you were saying you still have a lot of shit to work through. But I'm not an expert. I don't know. I think everyone has shit, and I don't know if any of the shit you'll ever get over, but I think you just learn to manage it and deal with it in healthier ways, and it doesn't like get you to that place where you're just a shell of yourself anymore. So I'm happy to hear that you found something that worked, and it's a very unique thing as well. I've never heard anyone else who's done something like that.
Oh, really?
No, you're the first person that I can remember anyway.
Probably that said it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
First to admit to, or like to say, this is how I actually did it, as opposed to. But now, even like looking back on situations like that, I know you said, will you ever be okay with it, let's say? Who knows? But even just to be able to reflect on and not have the same like emotional like response to it, or like to look back on those things. Like, I know there's situations that sure we all have in life where at one stage you'd probably reflect on it in your mind, and it would bring up the same emotions of like what happened in that moment. You're like, oh fuck, I felt real bad about this or whatever. And then you just hit a stage where it's like, I'm still not happy with how it went.
Yeah, like desensitized.
But you're like almost desensitized to an extent of like, it doesn't have that same like grip on me. It doesn't like weigh me down as much anymore. I'm able to have that there and still go on with life and carry myself through it in the way I want to, without having that feel like a massive weight or a burden on me anymore. Yeah.
Still there, like, you know, all the shit's still there, but like, it's definitely taking some of the weight off.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still carrying a skill bag, just less books in it. You know that.
Great analogy for it. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, one day I'll empty it.